This city was first mentioned in the ancient Chinese scrolls of the Han Empire, dated 1st century BC. Historians of the Middle Ages, who call this place nothing less than a city of scholars, artisans and merchants, have more detailed information about it. Today, we are in Kazakhstan, in the modern city of Taraz, the administrative center of the Jambal region. Hello, my name is Dmitry Galabir, and you're watching the program The Route to the Future. In the 10th to 12th century, as part of the Karahanid kingdom, Taraz reached unprecedented economic and cultural success. But in the 13th century, it was completely destroyed by the army of Chinggis Khan. Despite this, Taraz was not forgotten in the crevices of history like some other cities of the Middle Ages. It got its second breath thanks to its advantageous geographic position. By the way, the Chinese scholar and traveler Jian Xian of Xi'an City mentioned this fact 6 centuries ago. And it is quite unlikely that he could have predicted back then that in the 21st century, precisely this city will become a place of an unusual interweaving of history and geography, but this time in the context of the global economy. It is difficult to find on the map the small, by China's standard city of Xi'an, with a population of 7 million people, which is located in the Jiangxi province. This is the ancient capital of 13 dynasties of China and the departure point of the Great Silk Way. That is why it is quite symbolic that in 2015, China's Jiangxi province and Kazakhstan's Jambal region signed a memorandum on cooperation. After many centuries, the beginning and the midsection of the Great Silk Way have once again been united by trade and economic ties. Today, the Jiangxi province and the Jambal region are united not only by transport routes, but also the general agro-industrial policies of the region. The sphere of interest has already been set: cultivation of apples. In the Jambal region, there are already plans to get this business going because of the favorable climate conditions. And the Jiangxi province is famous across the world for its apple gardens and developed technologies. We grow 10 million tons of apples per year, and this is just from one region, and we're interested in receiving support in the sphere. So they send their specialists, and now we're conducting talks, and we're ready to cooperate and work together. The readiness expressed by the region is dictated not only by the prospects of cooperation in this sphere. One way or another, it is engaged in simultaneously 3 large infrastructural projects: the International Transit Corridor Western Europe, Western China, the global initiative the Silk Way Economic Belt, which was initiated by China, and Kazakhstan's national strategy, Nurly Zhol. But this is not all. The Jambal region has good potential for trade and economic cooperation within the framework of the Eurasian Economic Union. In 2015, this region was twinned with the Grodno region of Belarus. The decision to open up a plant for the assembly of harvest combiners of the Belarusian Lidagrom-Promash can be considered as the first real step in this dialogue on integration. By the way, the products that will be produced here will be offered for an accessible price to Kazakhstan's farmers. If the assembly from scratch is done here, then a different price will be set. So we agreed that the assembly of these harvest combiners will be conducted at the Shuya diesel locomotive plant, where production volumes are lowered a bit in order to save workplaces there. Cooperation between the Grodno and Jambal region clearly shows that today it is possible to build relations not only at the national level of the member countries of the Eurasian Economic Union, but also within the scope of separate regions. This way, ties in the sphere of production are established faster and more effectively. Coming up next, the search for the golden fleece, or where the threads of Kazakhstan's wool tops lead. If you may remember, one of the myths of ancient Greece are about Argonauts who went off to the distant Aea in search of the golden fleece. Perhaps the fleece which is produced here is not as magical, but nevertheless it is quite valuable. Because the wool of South Kazakhstan's merino sheep, or to be more precise, the product that is made out of this wool, the wool tops, is well known on the European market. And perhaps it is possible that this scarf which I purchased in an Italian boutique is made out of that very wool. In any case, Italy is one of the main importing countries of Kazakhstan's wool tops. The factory Posh Taraz is a unique enterprise which specializes in the deep processing of fine wools. The factory produces the semi-product, the wool tops, as well as pure wool yarn. The geography of exports encompasses Spain, Italy, and China. But the financial crisis forced the plant to halt production. Nevertheless, the top management of the enterprise believes that this pause is temporary. There is already one potential investor from China which has expressed interest in this company. South Kazakhstan's merino sheep, whose wool is used as a raw material for the production of wool tops and yarn, is a universal breed of sheep. They are distinguished not only by the special qualities of their wool, but also by the high quality of their meat. The stud farm Merke is engaged in the breeding of this sheep in Kazakhstan. In 2015, a Malaysian company, Agrostan, bought out the main share of this enterprise. With the coming of this foreign investor, aside from the development of pedigree sheep breeding, the enterprise was also able to get engaged in horse breeding and make plans for the construction of feedlots for cattle. The feedlots will have a capacity for 3,600 cattle heads. And especially for these purposes, we invited specialists from New Zealand, from the Southwell Company, which consults us on the technological aspects. Next in the program, who in the region is keeping up with the times and who can interfere with their movement forward. During the times of the Soviet planned economy, this brand could be encountered even in the stores of the capital city of the USSR in Moscow. Today, only the name of this logo changed, but its main image of a shoe is still the same. It is clear that within the current realities, this enterprise is not standing still and is making new fresh steps, keeping up with the times and the shoe fashion trends. Today, Taraz Kosh Obuv is a modern enterprise which specializes in the production of leather shoes with a wide range of product assortment. The high quality of the shoes is ensured by the company's technologies. Equipment for the production lines was purchased from famous European companies.
The
equipment is mostly from Germany and Austria. As soon as we purchased it, the demand for our products rapidly rose. Right now we're selling not only in Taraz, but also in other countries. The demand has increased. The main problem which this enterprise faces are the unfair competitive practices of the grey importers. Annually, thousands of tons of shoes are being illegally imported from China by bypassing customs control. Customers looking for cheap products do not opt for quality. The management of the enterprise hopes that the state will take the problem of grey imports under special control, especially considering that their products have a high local content share, 80%, and they're produced not only for mass consumption, but also for special state orders. The enterprise has a completely closed cycle of production, from raw materials to the final products. These include different types of leather and other items, as well as manufacturing of shoes. These are specialized shoes for military and law enforcement agencies, for regular consumers, as well as fashion shoe models. Coming up next, how to concoct something that is good for a business and how one separate sector is accelerating the development of the entire region. Kazphosphate is the largest employer in Taraz and the key link to the future chemical cluster. Its main feature, closed production cycle, from the extraction of rock phosphate to the production of deep processed products. By the way, this enterprise is rightfully considered to be the national exporter of chemical products. Today, Kazphosphate owns 7 plants. One is located in Shymkent, one in Stepnogorsk, and 5 in the Zhambal region. Overall, these factories produce more than 15 types of phosphate-containing products, including yellow phosphate, which is completely intended for export. By the way, aside from this product, hexametaphosphate is already exported abroad, but in much lower volumes. Both types of these chemical products are manufactured at the new Zhambal phosphate plant. At the moment, these are our main products, yellow phosphate and hexametaphosphate, which we manufacture in collaboration with a Czech company, Phosphate. We export it to the United States. The Mineralne Udobrenie plant is also part of Kazphosphate. Back in the times, it was a pioneer in the country's chemical sector. The enterprise was built more than a half a century ago. Today, it produces feed-grade tricalcium phosphate, simple superphosphate, and amorphous, which is a nitrogen phosphorate concentrated fertilizer which enjoys great demand on the market. Last year, we produced 160,000 tons of amorphous. Out of this amount, almost 65 to 70% was sold on the market in Kazakhstan. Because our government subsidized production in the agricultural sector by 50%, the demand was very high. And in addition, we exported to Russia, to Ukraine, and exported a lot to Afghanistan and Tajikistan. Today, Kazphosphate is completing the construction of the first production line, which will be used to manufacture wet process phosphoric acid. Thanks to the fact that we started specializing in the production of a new type of product, the production volume of phosphate fertilizers increased threefold. This benchmark is a good bid for the sectoral cluster, which will be formed in the region within the framework of the National Development Strategy. 90% of all of Kazakhstan's reserves for stone phosphate and 65% of quartz are concentrated in this region. The volume of products that are produced by the enterprises of the chemical sector is 28% of the entire industrial sector. That is why the choice of the Zhambal region as a geographical location for the future national chemical cluster was already predetermined. The chemical sector will be actively developing in 3 districts of the Zhambal region. The Sarısu district specializes in extraction and processing of phosphate rock. A couple of large enterprises already operate here. There are plans to create a free economic zone in the Shuya district. 16 plants will be built on its territory. The volume of funds invested into the new enterprises will amount to 700 billion tenge, and 26 billion tenge will be invested into the infrastructure of the free economic zone. The third participant of the chemical cluster is the Talas district. This is where a plant for the manufacturing of sodium cyanide was opened in 2014.
Это ноу-хау, который в Казахстане нет такого завода. Выпуск.
There is no other plant like this in Kazakhstan. The volume of produced sodium cyanide is 15,000 tons annually. The operations of this plant have already been launched. 600 people work there.
600 человек.
A new player has appeared on the chemical industry market of the region, the Russian company Eurochem. Its plans include realizing 2 large investment projects in the Zhambal region, an ore mining complex and a chemical complex. The total cost of the projects is 374.5 billion tenge. The first stage of construction has already been completed. Today, development of the deposit fields of phosphate ores on the territory of the Karatau Basin is underway in the Sarısu region. The ore mining complex of the Eurochem company is located in the Karatau Basin. It is comprised of 2 deposits fields, Gemifar and Kokjon. In 2010, an open tender call was made. 3 companies participated in the bidding, 2 Russian and 1 from Kazakhstan, which is under the management of Samuruk Kazana, the United Chemical Company. And that's when we won the tender with the right to subsurface use for a period of 25 years. The Kokjon deposit field has 2 sites, Araltobe and Kesiktobe. Today, extraction of phosphate rock is underway at the Araltobe site. Its capacity is 640,000 tons of phosphate rock annually. The reserves are estimated at 27 million tons of ore. The second investment project of the Russian company is being realized in the city of Zhanatas. Here, a complex for the chemical processing of raw mineral materials and mineral fertilizers is being built. The potential capacity of this future enterprise is 1 million tons of processed products annually.
На сегодняшний день построенные объекты.
To this day, already 2 infrastructural objects have been built. They are such as a water duct, so there's already water supply. High voltage power lines have been built for the external power supply. Transmission of electric power between the Kekoga power line and the main substations has already been provided for. The railway line is in the final stage of completion.
Железная дорога в стадии уже завершения.
The third project of the Eurochem company is a plant for the production of nitrite and complex mineral fertilizers. It will be built at the base of the Saratas enterprise in the city of Karatau. The plant's capacity will be no less than 1 million tons of products annually. According to the forecast of Kazakhstan's Ministry of Industry and Development, as well as the forecasts of investors themselves, in 7 years, the country will have a completely new chemical industry, powerful, efficient, and competitive. And thanks to this growth catalyzers, the region will occupy its worthy place on the industrial map of Central Asia. The growing demand from China, especially from the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, where the agro-industrial complex is one of the more developed, as well as China's strategy, Silk Road Economic Belt, all serve as a good stimuli for the future chemical cluster. Coming up next in the program, when natural resources become timeless, and the winds of change in the energy sector. By 2020, 105 objects that operate using renewable energy sources will be launched in Kazakhstan. In terms of the tempos of development of a renewable energy resources sector, the Zhambul region is ahead of all the other regions of the country. The 2 largest stations of Kazakhstan are located here. One of them is the Burnoye Solar 1 power station. It is located in a place where the highest level of solar activity is registered, near a town named after Barzhan Mamushulu. The other station is a wind station, the Vista International Station. For this structure, a location was chosen where the highest levels of wind speed and pressure in the region are observed, the Kordai district. Vista International is the largest power station in Kazakhstan which uses wind power. It has 21 wind turbines. With the optimal wind speed of 15 meters per second, each one of the wind turbines produces up to 1 megawatt of electric energy. By the way, these turbines are called gondolas. Perhaps by using the analogy of Venetian boats, here objects float as well. In the case of Venice, they float along the river stream, and in this case, in the direction of the wind. A small wind vane catches the direction of the wind and sends a signal to the computer. The computer calculates the precise direction of the wind vane and turns this large tonnage gondola machine in the direction of the wind, so that wind would constantly pressure the turbines perpendicularly. And this is another Kazakhstani champion, but among solar power stations. Burnoye Solar 1 is located 40 kilometers away from Taraz. The area of the power station is 150 hectares. 192,000 solar panels are set up on this large territory. They produce 73 million kilowatt hours per year. This volume is enough for providing the necessary amount of energy to all the nearby towns. By the way, Burnoye Solar 1 is gradually becoming a regional attraction site. Many drivers who pass by along the transit highway stop by just to take a look at the station.
Наша электростанция является единственной по мощности.
Considering the fact that our power station is the only one in Central Asia, it can be considered as a tourist site. And because it is located in such an advantageous position, next to the Western Europe Western China highway, any person who wishes can stop by and take a look at it.
Электростанции посмотреть.
The Zhambul region is a great representation of the destiny of a specific region. Here it is possible to recollect the past, look ahead into the future, see the present, and pass a thread that connects all times. It is only at first sight that it seems that there is very little in common between traditional agricultural sector, the light industry, chemical industry, and green energy. But in fact, they can be seamlessly united in the interests of one specific region as well as the entire country.
Строительство континентального
Construction of the cross-continental transit corridor Western Europe, Western China, realization of the national strategy Nurla-Joly, as well as synchronization of all programs, from industrial to those related to business development. For the Jambol region, as one of the crossroads of the New Silk Way, all these initiatives are paving the path to the future. Until next time, on route which is opening up new possibilities for Kazakhstan.
новые возможности.